In the Cleveland Browns system, the people are represented by two separate but equally important groups: the fans who spend their hard-earned money and the executives who waste it. These are their stories. Okay, come with me, people not from Cleveland, and imagine that your favorite NFL team has 11 first-round picks in 5 years. Now, while I'm sure that hoarding that many first-round picks for that long would be ridiculous and hurt the product on the field, so no real organization would do that, but in the future, it shall work itself out. I mean, 11 first-round picks in 5 years? The odds would be in your favor to stumble on the very least upon a couple Pro Bowl talents. Surely they'll find a franchise quarterback and a couple of studs to be the foundation of a contender. Building through the draft is the best way to build success in the NFL. It's what every old crusty football guy on NFL Countdown says, so it must be true. And I would be 100% confident that there would be no way that many first-round picks would produce a team that would win one game in the NFL in the last 2 years. I hate the Browns. The Browns suck. Like, they're awful. And what makes their botching of an incredible amount of first-round picks from 2012 to 2017, oh, and it's still going. They got 2 first-rounders next year. But what makes it worse is that there's no singular entity to blame. Sure, Jimmy Haslam is the owner, but he's only started getting involved since 2013. And as far as GMs and coaches go to blame, well, it started in 2012 with Pat Shurmur, Tom Eckert, and who can forget the few years that Mike Holmgren was president of football ops? I'll tell you who can. Mike Holmgren, because he just wasn't there. Man just stole money. Misery money. But that was just a few years of that run. I mean, there are too many people to blame, and if you don't believe me, let me list them all. Rob Chudzinski, Mike Lombardi, who thought Brandon fucking Weeden was a good pick, Joe Banner, aka Scrooge McTweet, Mike Pettin, Ray Farm,
2 hours later,
and Sashi Brown. Yeah, no wonder they up all these picks. There was no stability. I mean, how can a young NFL player be expected to succeed when the team is constantly changing its entire direction? It's an environment almost exclusive for failure. And to show how deep that failure can go, let's go over some of these picks. So we start in the 2012 draft where the Browns had the 3rd and 22nd pick. Now, after RG3 and Andrew Luck went off the board, 1 and 2, who did the Browns select? Well, only the most highly touted running back prospect since Adrian Peterson.
The Cleveland Browns select Trent Richardson, running back, Alabama.
So why not go and get a running back who many feel is an Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson potential type, a unique running back at top? Those are big names. Do you think he's that good, Coach?
I really do.
Well, did he turn into Adrian Peterson? No. He'd even turned into Peyton Hillis, but nobody saw that one coming. Well, no one except for Jim Brown, one of the greatest running backs of all time, who said Trent Richardson was a ordinary back. And Jim was wrong. He wasn't even ordinary. Trent never averaged more than 3.3 yards per carry in his career, and after a decent rookie season, he was traded to the Colts for a first-round pick. Oh God, not another first-round pick. Trent spent 2 years in Indy, bounced around the league, and was cut and never made it back into the NFL. He now plays for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Canada. So, Trent didn't work out. But they had 2 picks that year, and with the 22nd pick, they selected 27-year-old Brandon fucking Weeden. Weeden played for the Browns, although I wouldn't call what Brandon did playing, more like disappointing. Well, Brandon disappointed the Browns for 2 years, throwing 26 interceptions in 23 games. The only skill Brandon has is that he's like a black hole on any NFL roster he happens to be on. Because despite almost averaging an interception a game throughout his entire career, he finds a way to be on a team's roster. And not only that, if he's on your team's roster, oh, he's going to start a game. In his second year with Cleveland, despite being benched twice and demoted to third string behind Brian Hoyer and Jason Campbell, who didn't want to play football that year. And with all of that, Weeden started 5 games that season, all due to injury. It was amazing. And it's not just Cleveland. He started 8 games in Dallas, despite starting the year as a third string quarterback. And then he was cut mid-season by the Cowboys, picked up by Houston. Oh, and he started a game, because Brandon Weeden will find a way to start a freaking game. So if you're a Titans fan, watch out, because Brandon's coming. In 2013, the Browns picked Barkevious Kiki Mingo, who was a underwhelming pass rusher and a flat awful run defender and edge setter. He had about 7 sacks in 3 years, and as a Brown, he was traded to New England, where he did special teams duty and won a Super Bowl. So, good for him. In 2014, the Browns drafted so poorly, it's almost impressive in its misfortune. As Browns tradition, they traded back with the Bills, and with the 8th pick, they selected Justin Gilbert. And he hardly touched the field, and when he did, he got burnt. And I mean, people make fun of the Johnny Manziel pick later on in his first round, but to be honest, Johnny Manziel was a far more productive pick. I mean, at least he played. Now, not only was Justin unproductive, he was a headache off the field, and he would consistently miss team meetings. Like, dude wasn't late, he just didn't show up. And it gets worse, because when he was asked why he missed so many team meetings, he said, and this is a quote coming out of the dude's mouth, he said, the reason he can't show up to team meetings is because I'm a hard sleeper. I mean, what can you do? Couple this with the fact that they passed on studs like Odell Beckham and Aaron Donald makes this pick look even more horrendous. Oh yeah, then later on they drafted Johnny Football, which, I mean, what can I say that hasn't been said? It was a bad pick. The owner said on TV a homeless man told him to do it. He was too short, he hit women, and he showed up to team meetings hungover, and he skipped the game to go to Vegas while wearing a fake mustache and sunglasses as a disguise. None of what I said isn't true. And oh, by the way, Johnny and Justin are both way out of the league. In 2015, after the Browns showed improvement going 7-9, the Browns selected Danny Shelton, who was a productive starter on the Browns. So yes, we got one. Kind of. I mean, he's not Haloti Ngata, but he's a legit NFL starter, and that's actually the best we've done so far. So I hate the Browns. I fucking hate the Browns. Oh my gosh. Well, did they keep that momentum going? Nope. The Browns needed someone who could eventually replace perennial Pro Bowler Alex Mack. So they selected Cameron Ervin, who could play every position on the offensive line, extremely poor. You had to watch the Browns play to really get how bad Cameron Ervin was, but this clip kind of sums it up. Hey, but 1 out of 7 ain't bad. It's awful. Now, in 2016, the Browns picked Corey Coleman, who has shown signs of being a good wide receiver whenever he can stay healthy, playing only 12 games so far in his career. See, where the fail is this year is that the Browns owned the number 2 pick of the draft. And there were 2 quarterbacks that scouts are saying were going to be franchise quarterbacks. I mean, it was Cal's Jared Goff and in North Dakota State's Carson Wentz. And the Browns reportedly only liked Jared Goff. And once the Rams traded up for Jared Goff, they just decided that they'd rather trade back than take Carson Wentz, despite being the only team to have a coaching staff available at his pro day. What makes this worse isn't just that the Eagles are really good right now. It isn't that Carson Wentz is a favorite for the MVP right now. No. It's that the GM/president or whatever his title is flat out said publicly, we don't think Carson Wentz is a top 20 QB. I quit. I hate the Browns. I'm done. We also drafted Cody Kessler that same year. Now, in 2017, things look good. Not the record, but the picks. They drafted consensus #1 Myles Garrett, and he's already had 4 sacks in his first 3 games. And they traded back into the first round to steal a guy from the Steelers in David Njoku, who looks pretty good so far. I mean, he has great athleticism, he can get touchdowns, and he has 3 of those touchdowns, so yay. Oh yeah, they passed on Deshaun Watson and Malik Hooker to trade back with the Texans and use that pick to select Jabril Peppers, who hasn't really looked that good this year, but you know, it's also early, so the jury is still out. But it looks like they might finally have a solid first round. And also, those first and second round picks they got from the Texans might be really good picks since the unfortunate injury of Deshaun Watson and the even more unfortunate starting of Tom Savage as an NFL quarterback for an NFL team. So, what can we learn from this? Nothing. The only thing that you can learn is that at least the Browns will fail in an entertaining way. Well, thank you guys for watching. My name's Quincy Carrier, and why I gotta be from Cleveland.